in my district, there's a huge billboard, and I ride by and I look at these array of pictures of beautiful young men and women who have fallen to fentanyl poisoning. So this is an important hearing, and I appreciate your input today. So my question is, and I'll leave it open to either of you or both of you, Chinese chemical suppliers and intermediaries continue to be linked to precursor chemicals used by Mexican cartels to produce fentanyl and other synthetic drugs. So what evidence do U.S. agencies have regarding the current role of China-based actors in supplying or financing Mexico's fentanyl production, and how effective has Mexico been in disrupting those networks?
Yes, we believe, and there's a lot of evidence, that the majority of the precursor chemicals that are used to make or cook fentanyl in Mexico come from China. There is a diversion of illicit flows of precursors, but a lot of it is actually through illicit means. We have been pressuring the Chinese government and working with them very closely. There was this landmark agreement in November between the two presidents, President Trump and President Xi Jinping, to increase controls on these precursor flows. We're monitoring that very closely because that is what is feeding the fentanyl production. We know that fentanyl, that the cartels are looking at other options. They are looking at developing new recipes. They're pivoting. They also are able to, these are organizations that are revenue focused, so they're neutral in terms of like what drugs they are trafficking. So it's an area that we're working closely with all our partners on, and I think it's going to come clear in coming months what this new decision with China is going to mean.
So to clarify, do you feel like we're making progress in this area?
I do. Well, first of all, in Mexico, we're seeing an unprecedented level of coordination across the board. We've seen an increase in investigations and arrests, in extraditions. So we are seeing dramatically increased efforts to degrade and dismantle the cartels and to block the flow of drugs. And then on the other side, we've seen increased work with China to control the flow of precursors. So we are making progress. I think it will still be, over the next months, it will become clear how effective the Chinese controls are on these precursors and whether these cartels have been able to maybe find alternative sources.
Great, thank you. Do you have anything to add to that? So my second question is, how has U.S. and Mexico cooperation evolved to address the nexus between Chinese-linked precursor chemical supply chains, money laundering networks, and Mexican drug trafficking organizations? And where do gaps in the Mexican regulatory or enforcement capacity remain?
So I think one of the things that we've been very clear that we want to see more investigations, arrests, indictments, prosecutions, and putting people in jail and extradition. So I think in the criminal justice area, there's a lot of work that Mexico could do. INL does have narrowly focused criminal justice programs to work with prosecutors and potentially even judges that are focused on dismantling the cartels through prosecutions. I think that is an area, that is a gap. But as our ambassador in Mexico has said, we need to do more of that. We need to do it faster. And one of the sort of the 4 pillars of the INL program in Mexico is to focus on that, criminal justice side of undermining these organizations.